Will Bitcoin hit $100,000? In today's video, we are going to be discussing a chart that says it is possible. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having an amazing day today. In today's video, we are taking a deep dive into the short-term price action for Bitcoin, as well as the altcoin and total market cap. We'll briefly be going over the macro charts and key technical levels you need to be paying attention to. Before we get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos for Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you were interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. And if you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us in VIP. We have over 600 members. We post trading setups with exact entry prices, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll get access to our main VIP group and our additional VIP group chats with, again, over 600 members. You can go ahead and find out more information by clicking the pinned comment of the free channel, by clicking my name right over here in the pinned comment, or of course, the links to find out more information. Check it out, guys, and we'll jump right into the video. In today's video, we're going to try to keep it on the shorter side because there isn't much happening for Bitcoin. Now, there's a lot going on in the cryptocurrency market with altcoins, the total market cap, but Bitcoin has more or less been moving sideways over the past few days. We do have a bit to discuss about the price action, and by the end of the video today, you'll have a pretty well-rounded understanding of what is happening and what is likely to occur. So as we can see here, Bitcoin has more or less been chopping sideways between that $90,000 and $92,000 level. If we zoom out just slightly, we can see we have created a local high, which is going to be our buy side liquidity, and our sell side liquidity, which develops a horizontal range. We only have two tests of this range currently, but we are watching for tests of these range highs and range lows going forward. So we'll come back and discuss that in a second. With this sideways consolidation, we can also see the RSI has been decreasing, representing that we have experienced a degree of exhaustion during the periods between the 14th to the 18th of November. Momentum is currently declining. However, on the positive note, we can see although we have created lower lows on the RSI, we are still developing higher lows on the price action. Similar to what we saw over here with these two lows, we are seeing yet again with our most recent lows. So this is a sign of bullish absorption and can develop into reversals toward the upside over the next few days. We'll discuss that in detail as well today. Moving over, we do have, of course, Bitcoin dominance charts, the total market cap as gain retesting the prior 2021 high, and the altcoin market retesting a critical point. All of this we'll be discussing in the video today. Moving over to the market data to start off with, 24-hour volume is up 5.3%. Still the weekend in the USA, but again, coming into the new week here in Australia, volume should start to trickle upward. 24-hour liquidations are up 33%. Sitting at a total of 374 million, with 260 million liquidations coming from long positions and 113 million coming from shorts. We actually did see a bit of a flash correction over the past 24 hours. We can see Bitcoin did actually drop initially down into that $89,000 region before building back up and then coming all the way back down to this 88,000 region. So a lot of longs have been liquidated, especially these higher leverage positions, and again, a fair amount of shorts as well on the short-term retracements toward the upside, or rallies toward the upside. Moving over to the DXY, we are still sitting at the highs of 106, sustaining into the weekly open. And of course, we are watching this range high level to potentially be retested. This is where we are watching for either deviations and continuations back toward the range low, or if we do see a breakout, Whether or not this level of resistance will result in a support resistance flip, simply meaning the price action has broken out, retested our prior level of resistance as a support, facilitating a continuation upwards. We are speculative over here, watching how the DXY responds to its resistance over the coming weeks. Personally, we do believe it is more likely we see a deviation and then a continuation into the lows, potentially continuing to 96. That would be more bullish for the risk asset market as well if that were to occur. We would not really like to see the DXY rally too aggressively toward the upside over here. That would be quite bearish for the S&P 500 and of course for Bitcoin. Moving over to the S&P 500, the weekly open occurred around 5,900. Weekly close wasn't horrendous, but we weren't able to sustain above 6,000. We do have some warning signs over here. The first major warning sign is going to be the fact we do have a bearish divergence developing. We can see the degree of the divergence is starting to increase, meaning simply the angle of the trend between this divergence and our recent divergence is starting to become larger. This is an expression of even more exhaustion, or the price action is simply exhausting at a greater degree. This could be an indication of potential future reversals if it does play out and the price action, or should I say the momentum, isn't able to absorb that downward pressure. So if we do see the RSI break through here, that would indicate again the buyers were able to absorb the selling pressure and the momentum, which was negative, has turned back positive. That will facilitate a continuation while the RSI is remaining negative, or simply the RSI trend line is underneath the downtrend represented by this diagonal trend line on the RSI chart here. It is more likely we actually see a continuation back to retest these weekly highs. The weekly highs sitting at 5,700. And of course, if we drop below those weekly highs, we run the risk of entering the first high time frame structural breakdown we have seen since we broke out in April 2023. This would be a major warning sign. If we look at all of these prior highs, none of these prior highs yet have actually broken down. We have seen retests twice, but we've never seen a breakdown of these highs since the uptrend initiated. So a weekly close below will be the first major warning sign for the S&P 500. And as we know, the S&P 500 traditional asset market is heavily correlated to Bitcoin, because again, everything is valued against the US dollar. So if the US dollar rises, generally, and I say generally because it doesn't all the time, generally we see risk asset markets pull back. And of course, if we see the S&P 500 pulling back, the probabilities Bitcoin is likely going to be correlated towards that is increased. Now, do I think that it's going to happen? That's a whole different question. I do not think that is going to happen, but it is still a possibility that we need to be aware of. Let's move over to Bitcoin, guys. Before we do, a quick word from today's video sponsor. If you want 15% off all your trading fees for life, sign up to BitGet, BitUnix, or BingX with the links down below. You'll again get that 15% bonus discount, and that can build up to 45%. You'll support me making these videos and making this content on the channel, and of course, you'll support yourself. We'll play an ad and we'll jump in. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get stuck back into it. We are taking a look at the short-term price action to start off with. Taking a look at Bitcoin, we have gone ahead and already identified two key levels you should be paying attention to over the coming weeks. We did that in our introduction, and of course that was going to be the range low, which is our sell side liquidity, and the range high, which is going to be our prior all-time high at 93.4K. Now, first and foremost, guys, let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. For Bitcoin to see a continuation to a new high, the prior high needs to break. And if Bitcoin does break below the sell side liquidity, that will result in a correction developing for Bitcoin, which could take us as low as this $82,000 region. Again, we'll come back to all of that in one moment. But let's talk about the momentum and the mid-range for now, and then we'll come back to that higher time frame stuff in a second. Currently, there is a critical level of resistance toward the upside, which we are needing to break above to see a move, first and foremost, towards that range high. So before we can even think about testing and breaking the range high, we need to break above 92,000. As we can see, we have seen 1, 2, and 3 rejections from that $92,000 region, and momentum has been, of course, decreasing during those retests of that $92,000 region, meaning we have not had a point where we've retested 92,000 yet, where momentum has been positive. Therefore, if we see a positive momentum shift, the probability the next retest of 92,000 will break is significantly higher. And if we break 92,000, we already know the target is going to be the prior all-time high. So what are we watching for a breakout of 92,000, or at least a retest of 92,000? We are watching one thing over here, and that is simply going to be the RSI. We are simply watching for a positive momentum shift. We are watching for the RSI trend line to break, indicating momentum has flipped positive. And as we know, momentum is a leading indicator, is an expression of strength, and the probabilities the price action is going to push up into this resistance and break through that resistance will be much greater than what we have seen in the past, while momentum has been in a downtrend. So if we want to see Bitcoin push back to this all-time high and thus potentially break through it, we need to see momentum flip back positive. Let's talk about the higher time frame targets first, and then we'll take a look at the worst case scenarios, the bearish scenarios, and the possibilities of pullbacks. So if we zoom out, as you can see, we are in a possible horizontal consolidation here. If we take a measured move of this horizontal range and apply that to the breakout point, this is going to give a breakout target for Bitcoin of over $100,000. So this is big stuff because it's the first structural consolidation we have seen for Bitcoin, which actually is targeting a number greater than 100,000. If we take a look at this, the measured move expectation of this horizontal consolidation, provided the horizontal range fulfills the requirements of defining a horizontal range, which will require 2 more tests. We will require a low side test and a high side test. Okay, so it's speculative for now, but if we see that low side sweep and high side sweep, or if we see that retest and then continuation, we have a horizontal consolidation range. The target for that will be 100,000. So what does that really mean? It means this horizontal channel is more likely to be validated, and thus the target of 100,000 will come to a degree of fruition, provided the range low, which is the invalidation of not only this horizontal consolidation, which is currently speculative developing, but also the break of the range high or all-time high towards a new all-time high is going to be the loss of the range low at 86,000. So the loss of the range low at 86,000 not only invalidates the possibility for this channel to develop into a horizontal consolidation, thus providing the measured move target of 100K, but of course also breaking down below this level will result in the break up of this consolidation less likely to occur, thus again invalidating the possibility for a continuation higher. So no matter which way you spin it, we need to hold above 86,000. We really need to hold above 86,000 if we want to see that continuation upwards. So that takes us back to this point. For us to again see the continuation higher, we need 2 requirements. The first requirement was the positive momentum shift, and the second requirement was the strong low, or the sell side liquidity is able to sustain. Now, sustain and hold are 2 different things. We do not need to hold the range low, we simply need to sustain above it, meaning we could see a liquidity grab below and then continuations. That is perfectly fine. We have a massive VRPV gap right over here to 82,000. So this is a massive low historical resistance range, meaning if the price action drops below 86K, it is likely we are going to liquidate a whole bunch of long positions that have been built up since that low at 86K. So if we see anything like that, in my opinion, I would be looking to long this breakdown and I'd be looking to keep time stops below our prior lows. That is what I'd be doing, because if this does not hold and the price action does not sustain, we do run the risk of a correction to 82,000. I don't believe we'll go much lower. That is going to be worst case scenario for Bitcoin. So that is the horizontal consolidation. That is the price action for now. We know what our bullish triggers are. We know what our bearish triggers are. We know the worst case scenarios and best case scenarios, and we know how the price action is moving on the hourly. So let's zoom in a little bit more and talk about, mid-range price action, how the price action can move within the middle of this consolidation range. As we can see, we did have prior levels that we were watching yesterday. Our prior lows were going to be that 89,500 level. That level we did momentarily drop below, and we've actually bounced back above. If we look at this immediate short-term price action, we do have a very clear downtrend represented by this downtrending diagonal trend line. So we are going to need to break through this downtrending diagonal trend line to see the price action to swing back into this mid to high $90,000 to $92,000 region. Again, if we are able to see that, the probability of this momentum flipping positive significantly increases. For now, we are mid-range, and therefore I am neutral on the short term. I am not particularly hedging toward the upside or toward the downside right now. I am more or less watching how the price action reacts. If we do see a correction downwards, we are watching our prior levels of support for potential reversal points. And again, the most important one was going to be that 86,000 level, guys. So some good news. Again, momentum's negative, so some bullish absorption showing there is still demand at these prices, which is great. The possibility for a continuation into 100,000 is there. We can see it actually developing in real time. And we have a very clear invalidation for all of these expectations. So it is actually looking pretty good. We do have a pretty well developed and thought out plan over here. Let's move over to the total market cap. Some very important stuff to take a look at. As we said in yesterday's video, we are basically at the last level of resistance. And this is literally the last level of resistance we have for the total market cap. Now, the total market cap is a representation of cryptocurrencies. So, is cryptocurrency in a macro parabolic expansion phase? The answer to that is no. But if we break this resistance, the answer will be yes. We are technically in price discovery for a crypto, and thus, we'll see altcoins up. Most likely to see everything continue higher. So this is a pivotal moment because this is the retest of our 2021 high. I cannot believe, and I said in yesterday's video, it's been 4 years, guys. Well, 3 years. 3 years, I'm getting ahead of myself. Since this point, feels like time has gone so quick and yet so slow. I remember we were back down over here, and it was exciting when Bitcoin moved like 1%. It was like a whole 1% trade on Bitcoin. It was like a massive thing for the day. And now we're seeing Bitcoin swing 2, 3, 4% a day sometimes. So, a lot has changed in the space, but it's really good to see Bitcoin flying through our targets, and of course the total back at the 2120 high. But we do need to break above this level. This is a major level of resistance. And like we said already, it's the last level of resistance, and we have to take this to some degree at face value. We have to understand the significance of this, both for a resistance and a trigger. So if we are going to see any sort of pullback, any sort of rejection, it is going to happen from here. This is where it's going to occur from. This is the only and last logical place we would see, based on historical data, corrections. So we have to be aware there is a chance we do see a pullback here, but I would not be concerned of the pullback while Bitcoin remains over 86. If we do not drop below 86, it is unlikely, because Bitcoin still has the market share, 60% dominance. If Bitcoin remains above 86, which I do think it will, it is unlikely we are going to see the total drop too much. It is more likely if we do see a correction, it will be a short correction, and then we will see this continuation higher. Or we could chop sideways a little bit before we then continue upwards. So the total is at resistance. Be aware of that. Moving over to the altcoin market. We have seen yet again a lot of altcoins pop off in the last 24 hours. Just to name a few, Ondo, Beam, Bonk, a lot of these coins have been starting to do very well. So we're seeing money for the first time actually rotate into altcoins a little bit. We saw yesterday as Bitcoin came down, and on that bounce back upwards, and Bitcoin dropped like 1.5%. On that bounce upwards, we saw Solana go up 10-15%. We saw, BOEM go up 10-15%. We saw Beam go up a lot. We saw a lot of altcoins start to move up aggressively on that reversal of Bitcoin. So we actually are starting to see some money rotate now into altcoins, a very initial stages of that, which is still a good thing to see. However, like we said, for altcoins to really go parabolic, we need to sustain above 840 billion. You will notice we actually broke that momentarily. We're at about 846 billion. We need to get above and hold above 840 and we enter the parabolic phase. So thank you for watching, guys. Have a fantastic day. We'll catch you in the next video tomorrow. See you then.